We were blurred.
Yeah.
Hi YouTube, this is Aaron and
Hi, I'm Tammy.
with the Sold Out Marriage, and we're coming to you from Salt Lake City, Utah, and
we're outside today.
we are outside. That's why, yeah. Anyways, today our video is going to be talked about by my beautiful wife Tammy, and it is titled "A Road Trip with God."
Yeah, thank you for that beautiful introduction. Hey, so I'm going to talk to you about something that happened a couple weeks ago on a business trip that I had. But I'm going to back up a little bit to, we've got our coffee here, just, for the sake of saying it. So in the beginning of these videos, if you go back to like episode 2, 3, I don't know, somewhere in there, talk about the frustration of when Aaron and I get, it's not all the time, but where every so often we'll have such a mean, super huge fight. And in that episode, I talked about the frustration of when I get really, really angry, how I will like blatantly hurt him by cussing at him. And really praying at that time, it was about November, praying at that time, just God, you know what, I really want to break free from that, and not really knowing how, because we've been married for 18 years and it's been something I've tried many, many times to stop doing. And so just really frustrated with that. But then on top of that, just trying to figure out, what causes those disagreements to get us to such a place where we feel kind of crazy. So from November till now, we've worked on a lot of things. We've gone to a thing called a freedom class, just kind of helps to identify things that have happened when you were a kid that might cause you to feel some of the feelings that you're having, or more specifically, what kind of demonic influence might be attacking you in your marriage. One of them, for example, was fear for me, something that entered my life when I was little, and that's something that comes out at times when we fight. But anyways, we've been really working hard on that. We've read a book, those kinds of things. So God has just been revealing and just showing us and breaking free of that. So when I was in Pennsylvania, I decided, while I was there for a whole week, and I knew that from where I was located, I knew that New York was fairly close by. I knew that Lake Erie was about an hour and a half from where I was located, near Pittsburgh. And so I thought, well, on Friday after work, I won't get done with work until about 4 or 5. Maybe I could, at very least, I could drive an hour and a half to Lake Erie, see it before the sun goes down, and then turn back and come back home. That would have been, that would have been like a total of 3 hours, maybe 4 by the time I stopped places. So I kind of knew what I was going to do as far as that. I had it kind of on the calendar. What I did not know is that God had bigger, different plans for me. So after work that day, I went back to the hotel, and I changed my clothes, and I thought, I'm just gonna stay. I'm gonna stay inside because it was windy as all get out. And then just all kinds of other things, fears and second guessing. Should I do this? Things like money, like will I be able to afford the gas? Is that going to be a problem for us? Trying to figure all that stuff out, and I just kept hearing, you just need to go. So I got in the Jeep that I had rented and was driving and decided, okay, what I really want to do, if I could have my way, I really want to go to see Niagara Falls. I want to go to New York. I want to go to Buffalo. I want to go to Niagara Falls, but that didn't make any sense because it was going to be, by the time I got there, that was at least 3.5 hours away from where I was at. So 3.5 hours away put me at Niagara Falls at like 9 o'clock at night. So it didn't make a lot of sense to me, so I dismissed it. But as I was driving to Lake Erie, even driving to Lake Erie, I almost turned around. And as we were halfway there, I almost turned around because the Jeep, I didn't even tell you this part, the Jeep I had rented, the wind was so bad that the Jeep felt like it was going to take off because it wasn't a hardtop. And so it felt really kind of crazy. So a couple times I got kind of nervous, and so I was like, I'm just going to turn back. And again, I really felt like God was telling me to keep going. So I kept going, and then I just started praying and was like, all right, I'm going to keep going. God, I'm just expecting that you will keep me safe. You'll make it all work out. The money will work out. The safety will work out. But then also, I'm just going to ask when I get there that you will just delight me. That when I get to Lake Erie, it's going to be such a beautiful trip. So as I was getting closer, again, just a little bit of fear kept creeping in because the sun was going down, and I thought, I'm gonna have driven an hour and a half for absolutely nothing. Sure enough, I took a side road that took me along the coast of Lake Erie, and there was vineyards on both sides, and God knows I love vineyards, and so that was just a beautiful scene. And then the place that I found to look at Lake Erie, it was literally at sunset, and God knows, Aaron knows, I love sunsets. I love sunrises, and so it was perfect. I have posted some of those pictures if you want to check us out on Instagram, but at that point I had just been ready to just turn around and go back home, and again felt the tug that I should just keep going. Long story short, I ended up at Niagara Falls at 9:30.
You had called me like,
I did call you
I
at
think
Lake Erie.
half an hour before that point.
Yeah.
And this was the question of point of no return.
Yeah.
Like you either had to keep going all the way to Niagara Falls,
or just go back.
or just go back right then and there.
There was I didn't have a lot of time or ability to make any other decision. I had to just decide whether I was going to go or not. And I did. I asked him. I called him. He called me actually right as I was sitting in a parking lot trying to decide what I was going to do. When he called, I told him how far I was from Niagara Falls, and he said, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't go. So I did. So first of all, the next thing that I would say is that Niagara Falls was incredible. God delighted me there too. Yes, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you were worried about the 19th.
I was thinking again, Niagara Falls, what am I doing? I'm not even going to see anything fun. I might be able to hear the river, but that's it. Well, what I didn't know is that because this was all pretty spontaneous, Niagara Falls is lit up at night. So it was absolutely beautiful. Cold as all get out. I looked at Niagara Falls for about 5 minutes, and then I went into a restaurant at that point because it was my fingers were getting numb. I was like literally getting frostbite. It was terrible, and so
it's not funny, but
it is funny.
Kind of...
Like you would have laughed. Like I literally got out of my car, went and looked, snapped some photos. Again, those photos turned out beautiful. I mean, God really did. He just absolutely just delighted me. That entire road trip there, it was worth it. 4 hours to get to Niagara Falls, and then 5 hours back, and I will tell you why. So I went and I ate at a restaurant. Also, quick side story, met a man and the bartender there, and talked and told them about what I had done. Of course they were shocked. They're like, hold up, you drove 4 hours to look at Niagara Falls and then go back and fly home the next morning at 6 a.m. So anyway, so I started driving back home, and when I was driving back to the hotel, when I was driving back to the hotel, I was really thinking through, like, God, this was beautiful and it was amazing, but I just drove 9 hours on your prompting. I understand that you wanted to show me beauty. I understand that I got some amazing pictures, but I feel like there's a bigger purpose here in obedience. I just knew I needed to obey. I needed to keep going. And at the sacrifice of complete loss of sleep, because by the time I got back to the hotel, it was 2:30 a.m. and I had to catch a flight at 6. So I had to get up at 3:30, get to the airport and go. So I had like maybe an hour of sleep. So while I was driving back, I was just asking that question, and at that point, right as I left Niagara Falls, it was a blizzard. All of a sudden, it was crazy. I was nervous then too, but I knew God was going to take care of me. But I could hear the ice on the top of the Jeep, and I was just like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? So I prayed and was like, God, I really just need you to open up the clouds and just give me a good smooth ride home. I also need you to distract me, because now I've been up for 24 hours, I'm tired, and now I still have to drive back 5 hours. So I just prayed, and he did two things. Not only did he find a way to distract me, but he also opened up the clouds. It was only 15 minutes later, the sky opened and it was beautiful. It was no longer frigid. So the next thing that happened is the most important part of this entire video.
And I think that might have to be another video, because we're almost at 10
Already,
minutes.
see, there was so much that happened that night. I've been
But that
talking
was,
as
I mean, just
fast as I could.
for part one, that was actually pretty amazing. And just, I guess the point being that when God gives you the prompting, listen.
Yeah.
Because if you thought that part was cool, wait till you hear
Actually,
part two.
part two and it may be part three, we'll see. But that 5 hours back to Pittsburgh, let me just tell you, God, things happened. So yeah, actually, thank you for that. We just have a little series of our own, the God Road Trip. So Road Trip with God.
Yeah, Road Trip with God, part one. So that being the end of this video, we just want to remind you to, if you like the video, please share it. If you want to make sure and be updated with our content, just push the subscribe and notify buttons here on YouTube. If you want to see more, hear more, look at Instagram.
Yep, so on Instagram, we're under A Sold Out Marriage. It's with underscores, though, in between each word. So _sold_ so on. So A Sold Out Marriage on Instagram. You can also email us. Please do. We want to hear your feedback. We want to hear what you think about the videos. But more importantly, if we've impacted your marriage in any way, please email us and let us know at asoldoutmarriage@gmail.com. And then we're also on Facebook at A Sold Out Marriage on Facebook. So lots of ways.
So you just reminded me not to forget that we do have the book out there on Amazon.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
Just remember to look for it under the beginning of a journey to a sold out marriage.
Yes.
And one of the first things that we did as a ministry, which was images, we were actually unmothballing, and you'll see some new images soon.
Yeah, new images are coming.
Instagram
and Facebook. And then also, if you do want to check out those photos, I will post some of those photos from Niagara and Lake Erie on our marriage site. So lots of ways to check us out, lots of ways to get involved and communicate with us. So we hope you have an awesome rest
And if
of
you're
your
in
week.
Salt Lake City, we're having date night
tomorrow night.
Which is, what's the date?
Tomorrow is the 5th.
April 5th.
Today is May the 4th be with you.
No, today's April 4th.
Oh, just kidding. See how much I know. So tomorrow, the 5th of April, 6 p.m. at New Creation Church. Look it up. Get there, 6 p.m. And then we're going to talk about marriage. We're going to show our book off, but we're going to watch The Greatest Showman and just have a good time. So with that,
Yep, thanks.
goodbye.
See you guys.